Yes, brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. The latest is that Bobi Wine has withdrawn his petition that he has taken to the Supreme Court against the Electoral Commission as well as Yoweri Museveni. So out of the Supreme Court, what Bobi Wine wanted was for the court to recall for a re-election or a rerun. And he had listed over 26 grounds on which the Supreme Court should actually base to rule in his favor for a re-election. Now, there was a lot of overwhelming evidence that was presented by Bobi Wine to an extent that the courts of law, that is under the Chief Justice Owini Doro, they decided that, oh, Bobi Wine, that is too much evidence. Please stop. Please stop. That is too much evidence. We no longer want more evidence. Give us just 50 affidavits. That is all we need. So over 200 more affidavits were actually blocked by the Supreme Court of Uganda. Now, you all understand that the court had 9 judges, and out of these 9 judges, one of the grounds that Bobi Wine listed is that 3 of the judges are Museveni's stalwarts. They are Museveni's cadres. They are part of his NRM party. The Chief Justice himself, known as Alphonse Owini Doro, he was one of Museveni's lawyers in one of the petitions between Dr. Kizza Besigye versus Yoweri Museveni. Alphonse Owini Doro was one of his lawyers. So there is a conflict of interest, and he has been given several appointments since then. To make matters worse, when Bobi Wine petitioned the court on February the 1st, a few days later, this same gentleman, the CJ, Alphonse Owini Doro, he went to an event, and because Museveni was the, he was the chief guest, he said that, oh, Mr. Chief Guest Yoweri Museveni, I would like to assure you that we are going to handle this case fairly, meaning the petition. Now, I didn't go to law school. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a teacher, right? But I've heard of something called sub judice, whereby you're not supposed to speak about a case while it is in court. Here we have a Chief Justice known as Alphonse Owini Doro speaking about a case that is before him. And to make matters worse, the same gentleman, he's speaking about this case before a person that has been dragged to court by Bobi Wine, which is really interesting. Museveni's reply was he just kept quiet. He's like, I think Museveni was also surprised that this guy I don't have any kind words, but Museveni must have said, what is wrong with this guy? We are trying to play a game here, and he's trying to expose it all over the public. A couple of days later, he goes back to the State House. He makes demands to Museveni to give more money to the judiciary. When the newspapers revealed the story, the gentleman said that he had gone to swear in a judge in the State House of Uganda. That is Owini Doro. Owini Doro himself, he actually went out of his line and he took the wigs and coats of a Chief Justice and then replaced them with the robes of a lawyer. He must have thought that he had gone back in time. See that movie called Back to the Future? He must have, back in time, I think. He must have thought that he had gone back in time while he was defending Museveni. We saw all this on the screens, and Owini Doro came out. He said, within the courts of law, before Bobi Wine, and he became a lawyer for Museveni. He said that if Bobi Wine did not trust the courts of law, then he should go and do his plan B. That's the kind of arrogance that the Chief Justice actually used against Bobi Wine. Secondly, the gentleman said that he actually started defending Museveni in the courts of law. The things that he was saying were in direct competition with Museveni's 40-man team that he had hired to defend him. So that is the Chief Justice, the head of the entire team of judges that had been appointed by the justice system of Uganda. Now there is there are other judges on the panel that included the one gentleman known as Chibita, who was Museveni's former private secretary. He was also part of the judging team. A man known as Chibita. So you see there is a direct conflict of interest. These men have spent more time with Museveni than they have spent practicing the rule of law or practicing law in Uganda. The other gentleman was known as Muhangizi Ezekiel. Now this gentleman is directly related to Museveni's Minister for Security, known as Eli Tumwine. I don't know if at all he's still the Minister of Security. But that gentleman, he is directly related. Now, you cannot tell me that these people can give us justice. When Bobi Wine told these people that please get off the panel so that we get a balanced team of people who are impartial, people who will not display that they are biased or have any conflict of interest, the entire judicial system went haywire. Bobi Wine's affidavits were blocked and things of that sort. The Chief Justice started throwing sharp words to Bobi Wine, whereas Bobi Wine was asking legitimate questions. The Chief Justice was just firing back. He was in a rage, in a very huge rage, firing back. We also understand that there is a day that Bobi Wine tried to petition the court on a Saturday, and they blocked him, saying that the court does not work on a Saturday. Yet, when Museveni tried to submit his responses on a Saturday, they said, oh, you bring the responses. Where are they? They actually went and picked the responses from Museveni's lawyers. So it is upon all that background that Bobi Wine said that, look here, guys, I don't think I'm going to get any justice from these courts of Uganda. What I'm going to do is I'm taking the petition out and I'm taking it to the court of public opinion. That is we, the people of Uganda. So the decision has been made. Now, there are so many people who have different views about the matter. Some people said, no, Bobi Wine should not have gone to court. Some people said he should go to court. So he decided to go to court. So when he went to court, some people said, okay, now we reached this impasse. And then some people said, okay, Bobi Wine should withdraw the case. And some said that Bobi Wine should not withdraw the case. He should see the case through. Right? So in the end, of course, as we know today, Bobi Wine withdrew the case. Now, my explanation or my analysis on his withdrawal is this. Why did he withdraw the case? Did he win without even having a verdict? Or did he lose? Or was the outcome going to be any different? Now, there were so many signs that showed that really the court was not going to decide in his favor. Blocking affidavits, blocking evidence, and putting all these kind of hurdles of, petitioning on Saturdays and things of that sort. So many things. They really showed that we are not going to side with you. And the fact that the Chief Justice was making demands of money from the president, and the fact that the Chief Justice was, speaking about the case while it was already in court, breaking the rules of sub judice and all this kind of thing. These were signs that there is no way that we are going to actually rule the case in his favor. So, in the end, if at all we had seen the case through, it would have legitimized Museveni. Because Museveni, the way he prepares his cards, the way he decks the way he prepares the deck, is to make sure that the deck looks a bit impartial, but being partial, favoring him. That's how he prepares the deck. That, when you're playing, he will give you a couple of monsters and a couple of twos, but then he will give himself more monsters, more twos, and more J's. And then he gives you more Q's and Z's and whatever. That's how he prepares the deck. Now, it is upon the people who are handling the deck to make sure that they serve or they distribute their cards in that particular order. But because these people are overzealous and they want to show that Museveni, they are working so hard for Museveni, they make these sorts of mistakes. Because what Museveni wants, the reason as to why they came up with a figure of 58% and not a 98% or a 70% or an 80%, is to make sure that they strike that balance where the international community can say that, okay, look here, the election was not free and fair, but it was close. See, Bobi Wine got 32%, but Museveni got 58%. It means that his supporters declined a wee bit. You get it? You need to strike that balance. That is what smart dictators are doing these days. But now, all of that was, rubbished when Bobi Wine actually produced evidence that to the fact that even the percentage did not matter. So if we had gone on with this case, the verdict would have been an 8 to there are 9 judges, right? It would have been a 4 to 5. 5 in favor of Museveni, 4 in favor of Bobi Wine, to give us that verdict. That, the judges were too split. It was really tight. It was so close that Bobi Wine got 4 judges and Museveni got 5. That is already premeditated and pre-prepared even before the entire process begins. But these people messed up because what Museveni wanted was for Bobi Wine to stay within the case, to not withdraw the case, to make sure that they get that margin that they need to legitimize their theft in one way or the other. Because this was Museveni's last-ditch effort to legitimize the stolen election. This was his last-ditch effort. But now, the Chief Justice Owiny Doro, publicly he has shown that he would not actually he would not show that sort of, that sort of facade that Museveni wanted, because he's not a good learner. He did not understand what Museveni had taught him. A bit dense, maybe I would say. I'm very sorry. Because for things that he did, even me who did go to law school, I cannot do such a kind of a thing. I think I can do a better job. Now, the lawyers have also failed. Because Museveni's lawyer, he has a team of 40 lawyers. These guys say they are the same lawyers that have been in all cases since 2001. And no one has ever withdrawn a case. All of these cases, they have been through them. But for the very first time, people have withdrawn a case. So it means Museveni cannot hire them again because they have failed to keep Bobi Wine in the courts of law. Because that's his cliche. That's his thing that he knows. That is his modus operandi. That's his recipe. He doesn't want his recipe changed. He says, go to the election, steal the election, close margin, go to court, make sure that you rule the case in my favor, but with a tight margin, 4 to 5, 3 to 4, things of that sort. But now he has been denied this sort of thing. And there is not any sort of legitimacy. So the Chief Justice and these other judges who have been on the panel, I think Museveni is going to punish them heavily. Secondly, the lawyers, those ones are not going to be hired again. Now, the other thing is this, that most people are saying that, look here guys, we told you, don't go to the courts of law. There is nothing you will get out of there. And these are our brothers in the FDC, the likes of Semjunganda and all these other people. They are saying that, don't go to the courts of law. Now, I, for one, Fazil, I never knew what an affidavit is. Because I've never been to a court of law, number one. And there are so many people like Fazil, like me, right? I had never followed step by step an electoral process for over 3 years in my life. I've never done it. And there are so many other people like me who have never followed an electoral process up to where we are today. And these are people who have lived through electoral processes since 2009. Actually, since 1986. Since 1981. Or since 1996, they have never followed everything to the detail. But all of a sudden, even when Bobi Wine is fighting the system, even when Bobi Wine is going to these courts of law, participating in the elections, the people of Uganda are taking notes. The people of Uganda are learning. The people of Uganda are internalizing what they are exactly fighting for. The exposure that Bobi Wine has made has led to so many people who have been supporting Museveni to look at the situation and also say, but look here guys, even though I'm supporting Museveni, but what we are doing is not right. For the very first time. Back in the days, it was unheard of for an NRM person to critique their fellow NRM people. It was unheard of. But now it is happening. All of a sudden, people know all the basics of the rule of law and constitutionalism. All of a sudden, the people know about presidential petitions. People know about the entire electoral process, that someone cannot obtain 100% turnout in a particular polling station. We know all these details. Now, I've told people, I would rather have 15 people who have internalized and understood what they are fighting for and what they are fighting against, than having 1 million people to march with me, but they do not know what they are fighting for. They do not know what they are fighting against. Just imagine finding people on the streets there and asking them, look here guys, let us go and fight. What are we fighting for? We are fighting for Museveni, to remove him from power. Why do we have to remove Museveni from power? Right? Why do we have to remove, people will ask you such questions. Now all of a sudden, with the coming of Bobi Wine, people know that I go to fight for the restoration of institutions, to work for the people of Uganda, but not work for an individual. To work, to restore the Electoral Commission, to restore the principles and elements of democracy, and things of that sort. Now, there are some people who are joining the struggle just because of the impartiality, just because of the denseness that the Supreme Court of Uganda has exhibited in its, in its way of handling matters. Rubbing shoulders with someone that you have gone to report in the courts of law, and the same judge who is in your case is the one rubbing shoulders with the person whom you have reported. The Kenyans have a saying: why do you hire a lawyer when you can buy a judge? The judges were already bought. So this was a show, it was a fight-off between Museveni's lawyers and the judges on who should be given money. You get it? So the lawyers have now said that they will give a penalty to Bobi Wine, that he has to pay for their costs and all their time and all this kind of thing. Actually, they won't. In fact, they wanted to see the case through, because everyone is trying to show his might towards Museveni. Museveni has never faced a withdrawal. That's why they don't know how to proceed from this moment on. And even when Bobi Wine does all these sorts of moves, he is still winning. I've told people that Bobi Wine's withdrawal of the petition, actually, he has won without even having a verdict. That is what it is. That is what it is. Why do you think it is the NRM? Why do you think it is Museveni's lawyers? Why do you think it is the Chief Justice that are going to be making a lot of noise and blocking the withdrawal and all those sorts of things? It is because they are not there to practice or not there to provide justice. They are there to cater for their own self-interests and also to make sure that Museveni stays in power and caters for them as well. So that is what it is. So he has withdrawn the petition, but he has still won. So what next now after the petition, as I'm parting short? What I think Bobi Wine is going to do is, number one, he has said that they are seeing the process through, provide more evidence. But then what he's going to do is he's likely to swear in himself as well. That's what I'm seeing. He's going to swear himself in, Bobi Wine. And then he might create a parallel government in one way or the other. That's where it might lead. That's what I think. It might not happen. But because he has not gotten justice from the courts of law, he has not gotten justice from the Electoral Commission, and he is the one we recognize as our president. So when Museveni swears in, I do not believe that Bobi Wine will just look on. There's something big that is going to happen. Now, for the international community, they are split again. They don't know what to do. Of course, they are still going to push for a re-election, but they might push for a shared government or a government of unity, some sort of thing like that, because they cannot legitimize Museveni's election. They cannot legitimize Museveni's court process. That is why you see the European Parliament made a decision before waiting for the Supreme Court of Uganda to make a decision. You get it? So the same thing is happening with the Americans and all this kind of thing. That's for the international community. They will have to either push, number one, for a government of unity, something of that sort, or they will be pushing for more re-election. They will be pushing for re-election and that sort of thing. That's what they are going to do. But for Bobi Wine, he's likely to create a powerful force, and he's, I think, likely to bring a big coalition of the entire opposition and then create a parallel government in one way or the other. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I think he might do. And then afterwards, he's going to go to the court of public opinion. Now, that's a very scary court because it has no judge, it has no lawyers, it is the people. Now, that's a very, very scary court, the court of public opinion. Museveni knows what you can get out of that court. So that's where the international community is going to because it is split, and it might try to do these negotiations and things of that sort. Because the moment the international community decides to recognize Museveni as a president, then everything is going to, it's not going to go down well. It's not going to go down well. Because they have to keep that balance. Because if you recognize Museveni as the Americans, then you are directly in support of what Trump did and his supporters at the Capitol buildings, the insurrection and things of that sort. Because if you support Museveni here, you are directly contradicting yourself with what happened in America. So it means Trump was right. If you recognize Museveni as a president, it means Trump was right. And everyone will, because it is going to set a precedent on the African continent that the American government cannot touch these people or cannot touch Museveni. There's nothing you can do. You cannot take away his money. You will give him more things, you give him all sorts of things here and there because you have legitimized him. But back home, when Trump tried to do the same, bang, you wanted to impeach him and things of that sort. So they are also between a rock and a hard world. For the people of Uganda, we are coming to you with our case. And please be impartial in your judgment. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe to the channel, share the video, and we shall meet in the next one. Bye-bye.